Fit like now. Welcome to Learn Scottish Words, Part 12. Nu, our first wordie in today's lesson is aparten. Nu, aparten is what the English would call an edible crab or a brown crab. So that's aparten. In this example, in this picture is a picture of a she parten or a hen parten. And here's another example of a parten. This lad here, he's holding up a he parten or a cock parten. That's the male parten. And they've got bigger nippers. As you can see, he's got bigger claws on him. So it's the male parten. And here's a picture of a half boxy of partens. And they look to be hen partens. But the partens is off a good to eat. They're off a good to eat. And I often boil up a parten for my supper. And chaw it up for my supper. So that's the word parten. An edible crab or a brown crab. Now, in this picture here, we've got a small parten or a young parten. Now, this wee parten is in a rock pool. Now, because he's a young parten, he's called a ruddock. So, when a parten it's undersized, is called a ruddock, because that's a small parten or a young parten. So that's the word ruddock. Now, our next word is a scurry. Now, a scurry is a seagull. And that's what we call a scurry. And here's a picture of a fleeing scurry, because he's fleeing. Now here's another picture of a scurry. And a scurry, he's walking about in a garse. And he's stomping his feet in a garse. And this makes the worms think that it's raining. So the worms, with him stomping his feet, the worms will come up to the surface to save themselves getting drowned with the rain, if they think it's raining, you see. And the scurry, he'll pluck the worms out of the ground and get a chaw for his supper. So he's a fly breed. This scurry, and I've often watched the scurries doing this, stomping their feet in the ground and picking out the worms. So anyway, that's the word scurry, a seagull. Now, our next word is a cunty. Now, this is not to be confused with a swear word, cunty, because this is what we call a scorpion fish. And a scorpion fish to us is a cunty. Now, the funny thing is, because it sounds awful like a swear word, I mean years ago, all our lads, they'd be like religious kind of lads. And that kind of lads we would call good living, or guid living kind of lads. Now, because this sounds like a swear word, they would say canty instead of cunty, so it wouldn't sound so bad. So anyway, that's the word cunty. And here's another example in this picture of a cunty, and he's in an environment in the water. And as you can see, they're pretty camouflaged instead in the water in the rain places. Now, if to watch your sail with a cunty, if you pick him up and his spines will poke into your fingers or your hand, and they're like poisonous, and your hand can swell right up with the poison, and it's off a seer. But there is a way that you can pick him up, and the fit idea is, if I take a hold of him by the head and stroke my hand back over his body, it flattens down his spines, and then you can take a grip of him and pick him up and take a hook out his mouth. Take a hook out his mouth if you've caught them on your fishing line. So that's the word cunty. Our next word is a hevel, and as you can see by the picture, it's a picture of a conger eel. So that's what we call a hevel, a big conger eel. And here's a hevel, here now a wee lookie out of his house. So he's in his housey and he's here a wee lookie out the door. Another example of a hevel. And here's a money catched himself a muckle hevel. And sometimes we used to get this great muckle hevels inside the creels, and you wondered who the managed to get inside a creel, because they were as big. So that's the word hevel, a conger eel. Now the next word is a blend day, and a blend day is a spotted dogfish. And you have to watch yourself when you're picking these things up, because their skin is just like sandpaper. And I've seen me picking one up, and it'll wrap right through about your arm and start moving about, and it's like sandpaper rubbing against your skin, and it can be sore kind. But that's a blend day, and that's a picture of 2 blend days in the water. Now our next picture is a picture of a lion's mane jellyfish. Now that's what we call a scalder, and you don't want to get those tentacles on your skin, because it stings like buggery, and it's of a seer. So it's a scalder. Now the scalders comes round into our waters in the summertime, when the waters get a wee bit warmer round in northeast of Scotland here, and it's when the Gulf Stream takes a warmer water round, and that brings the scalders with it. Now your nets or the ropes of your creels, if they rub up against that scalder, the scalder's tentacles goes out of the ropes, and if it's a windy kind of day, if it's a breezy day, and you're pulling in your fishing gear, the wind will blow the tentacles off the ropes and off your nets, and it'll get into your een and sting like buggery, and you can hardly see your een swells up with the stinging. So it's of a seer. Now that's the end of part 12, and mine will look out for the next part 13, and I'll catch you after now.